Hello, my name's Stephen from K-Scale Models, and today I'm doing a video about what 3D printing brings to Gunpla. 3D printing is an interesting technology, but it's not a silver bullet at the end of the day. It is just a tool that can be used in scale modeling, and for us, more importantly, Gunpla. So let's go over what I've came up with. The first thing I've thought of is broken parts. Now, this is a constant request on the 3D printed Gunpla Facebook page. However, our response is generally it's cheaper to buy a part from Japan than it is to get someone to make the part for you. It's just how it works. There is sites out there that will let you order the actual part from Japan. I'll leave links to descriptions how you do this. However, we have all done this. We broke parts, we've lost parts, the carpet monster has eaten them. It happens. Now, what I find is this is a good tool to learn 3D modeling, and I do encourage people that have got a broken part or a missing part to use this to learn the software, because you will have the part in front of you that you can measure up. What you need is a good set of calipers and just go through and measure things up. Once you've done that, you can then compare the 3D printed object to the original if you've still got a original of something, even if it's the left-hand version, you've got the right-handed in front of you. Or say you broke the part, you can kind of see if it's the right thing. Now, if it's wrong, you can go back and iterate. That's the beauty of 3D printing. You can quickly iterate on projects. It's not a case of, oh, this bit's wrong, we've got to retool the whole factory. It's a case of, oh, I'll just bung it on the printer overnight and that's it done. So, yeah, it's really good for that. Now, what this will then do is it will teach you the skills you will need if you're wanting to make your own conversions. Because part of when you make your own conversions is you need to be able to measure up the original part that you're connecting things to and be able to work that. And again, you will be going through iterations with that, but the skills you learn will put you in good stead for that. So this, I believe, is a good use case, and if you do break apart, I do recommend that if you've got a 3D printer, see about trying to 3D print it yourself. So the next thing I've come up with is background vehicles. So there's a lot of vehicles in Gundam, you probably not even really paid attention to them, but they're there and they serve a purpose to flush out the universe. So sometimes these vehicles, they have a bit of a following, people like them, but they're not really made into model kits because Bandai's core demographic is people that like giant robots. Okay, some people might like the tanks or the aircraft or the ships, but they're not really interested in making them, or at least they haven't in recent years. The last time I've seen this sort of stuff made was the Iron Blooded Orphans, was it mobile worker sets? And before that, it was the EX line, and that kind of hasn't had a release in over a decade. So Bandai isn't really all that interested in making these. So if you want to make them, you're going to have to either scratch build them or have a 3D printable file. Now, my Patreon is basically this. I will make 3D printed models of these sorts of things. That's kind of how I run. But I was doing this well before it was actually a Patreon. So you'll see many of my vehicles are free to download. And I'm going to be linking in the description below the repository. This is where you can go see all the files that I've found over the years that are of note. Go download them. It's not just me, my files, it's also the community. So have fun. It's what it's there for. So the next one I've came up with is figures. Now, I've always had problems when I've been trying to make a diorama for Gundam, is we just don't get that many figures for them. We've got a 1 to 144 scale and 1 to 100 scale figure set from Bandai called MS Figure 01. These are great if you're making a hangar or a space diorama because they're all in spacesuits. They're clearly in 0G with the way that they're standing, but I'm looking for a set of guys to basically guard a bird tank and crew it. And that's, if you're unfamiliar, a ground recovery vehicle. It's a gun tank with the turrets removed and cranes added. So this is not the sort of thing that I need a bunch of spacemen for. I need regular grunts in the ground. And this is not the only time I've came across this. I've got other things. I want to make dioramas for my mobile armors I've made, like the tanks and all that. But yeah, getting a hold of infantry to go along with them is kind of difficult. So this is something I believe that just in general, 3D printing would be really good for. Not just like Gundam, but for 35th scale armor, aircraft, whatever. Because if you can take a random like a random T-posing person and they've been rigged right, you can then go pose them. And then you can make multiple versions of them, posed in whatever like random poses you need. And then if they've got the right uniform, if they've got the right weapon, whatever, you can then use them. It's just such a brilliant use case for 3D printing because 3D printing is best suited for unique or low volume items, and this is the sort of thing that is unique. We've got our own unique figures and unique poses, and it would just work so well. The 3D rigging sort of thing, the actual rigging part is the difficult bit. Once you've got it rigged, posing it is fairly straightforward. I've taken models before that are fully rigged and posed them. It's not that hard, and I hate Blender. So most people should be able to do that with a bit of knowledge and running through a tutorial. Now, this one wasn't originally thought up by me. I've lamented this for years, but the guys over at Skirmish, this is the tabletop wargaming sort of Gundam thing that's out there. Very interesting. I do want to get into this, but no one in my area is going to be playing it. Yeah, this is something they've been crying out for because they are like they've got rule sets for everything from mobile suits to mobile armors to tanks to infantry, but they don't have any infantry to play with, or at least they have to like take a bunch of 12 mil or 10 mil infantry and start using them, and these are just random World War II GIs and stuff, so they're not super relevant. So yeah, it would make a lot of sense for them to get actual, ZAF troops or Xeon troops or whatever. I will link in the description below the sort of thread about this. There's one guy that is working on this, and he's doing great work, but I haven't heard from him in 2 months. So yeah, there is a lot of room here. I think this is something that will be really important. It's just something that's not actually being done at the moment. So, following on from the figures, dioramas in general just need random stuff. Give you an idea of how random. People could be asking for anything from wheelie bins to lampposts to actual buildings and whatever scale. And sometimes you can get them, sometimes you can't. It can be difficult. So this is a real good use case for 3D printing because you can often find 3D assets for these things online. I'll give you an example of how random this can be. One of my friends was building a conversion from the omnibus where he needed pigeons because it was a pigeon loft conversion. And I printed him a bunch of 1/32 scale pigeons. Now, since I did this, several companies have actually went and made their own pigeons. I suspect because they saw my friend's conversion and went, that's a cool idea. So, yeah. But before then, you couldn't get pigeons anywhere near that scale. So, me making him about 20 of them meant that he could have a fully kitted out pigeon loft. So, that's the sort of random things you can need for a diorama. And yes, sometimes you can get these things online, you can buy them, but other times you're searching around just trying to find that one thing that actually is what you need. So this is again a very good use case for 3D printing. If you don't believe me, go talk to the railway guys. They use this sort of thing all the time. So the final one I've got here is Gunpla's Freedom. Now, Gunpla's Freedom is a term that's thrown around by the community because no one cares if you paint your RX-78 pink. If you've done a good job, people will be happy for you. So yeah, compare this to scale modeling, where in a lot of cases when you're doing scale modeling, you're not so much making a cool looking tank, you are making history in miniature. And this means you can do a lot of research on the vehicle. You can find the exact one and the exact day and what color it was and try to welder it up to look like that model. And yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to try to make it as historically accurate or historically representation of history. But in Gunpla, we're not doing that. We're painting our RX-78 pink with purple polka dots. And people are liking it. People are having fun. Now, this doesn't just stop with weird paint schemes. You can modify your Gunpla in any way you like. You can kit bash, you can stick on different arms from a different Gundam. That's fine. If you do a cool looking job, people are going to be happy. And this is where 3D printing comes in, because the community could go make its own community backpack for the strike. Let's say it is we'll make it a navalized variant of the strike where it can travel on or underwater. Well, you make this kit up and you share it with the community, and the community goes, that's nice, and they can make it themselves. Or, even better, and this is again something that 3D printing is really good for, they can go modify it. Because this is the kind of thing that happened in the early days of RipRap. People would make a design, someone would come and go, that's cool, but you can do this. And they would remix the files, alter them, and there was a lot of that going on. Now, this these days mainly results in group benches. Yeah, that's a bit of fun, but you get the idea. Is it's something that's always been there in the community, and I think we could do a lot with this, where we have one design that's really cool and someone makes a slight variation of it. So I think that's something that could really be used in the Gunpla space. But there's another part to this. Let's say I'm designing up a file. We'll say for the sake of argument, I'm making a 1/144 scale sumo flight pack. This is the flight booster from Turn A Gundam. And say I'm going through it step by step and showing you how I'm making it, explaining the design choices, why I'm making it, and then I'm going away and painting it and showing you where I'm painting it, how I'm painting it, and giving you just a tutorial on how to do things. That I believe would be quite powerful and show people how to do things and help boost people's knowledge, and they can then go show others how you do things. And we're all working on the same thing, because whilst I'm building this, you could be going off and building this flight pack of the sumo, and then you could be painting it. So I think this could be a real big game changer, and that's actually what I'm doing on my Twitch channel. So, link in the description for that. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I'll have finished the CAD work on this, and I'll start to be painting it up. For now though, I think I've talked too much. I think it's time for you to have a say in this. What do you believe 3D printing brings to the table? How do you think it affects Gunpla? Leave comments in the description below, wherever you see this, and let's start a conversation about it, because I think more people need to get into 3D printing Gunpla, because there is so much to this, and it is a really useful tool that is, in my mind, sadly missing from the mainstream Gunpla community. So anyway, thank you for watching.